What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be showcasing all of the Season of Plunder weapons recently added to Destiny 2 and discussing which ones should you be crafting first. And that's because as of this week, you can now unlock the Pirate's Crew upgrade that lets you focus Umbral engrams into specific Season of Plunder weapons. So you can now officially target farm the exact weapons you want. So obviously, it's important to know which weapons are worth your time and effort, not only unlocking the ability to craft, but also going in, leveling up, going back, changing the perks, potentially putting on enhanced perks, all of that stuff. And again, that's the purpose of this video. So let's get started with the first weapon on our list, which is actually the least desirable weapon to craft. We're going worst to best here, and guys, even if you randomly get the red borders to make this thing, you may want to save your resources. It's the Plancks Stride machine gun. This is a rapid fire frame archetype, and first of all, let's take a look at the origin trait all of these weapons are going to share: right hook. Dealing melee damage gives this weapon increased target acquisition and range for a short period of time. Dealing melee damage again extends the effect. I mean, it's alright. If you are trying to go for a melee focused build, definitely it could be incorporated into an interesting god roll. But for this machine gun, it can get some pretty decent perks in the right hand column. I mean, I have mine with One for All, which is obviously very easy to trigger and get a big damage boost with a rapid fire frame. But it has like no good perks in the first column. Like, no triple tap, no fourth times, no clown cartridge, nothing to extend that magazine. Like, the best thing you have for PvE is like mulligan. It's honestly kind of pathetic. Maybe perpetual motion, you know, not really what a rapid fire frame big machine gun wants to see. So potentially there's a PvP role of like heating up Eye of the Storm or tap the trigger, but I mean, who's using rapid fire MGs in the Crucible when you could just get a guaranteed kill with a rocket launcher, right? So it just doesn't serve a purpose right now. Even though machine guns with their recent big buff aren't doing too bad, I don't think this is a particularly good machine gun. However, it's time to move on from there to the second worst weapon on our list, and this is gonna rustle some jimmies here. It's the Sailspy Pitchglass Linear Fusion Rifle. Now yes, pick your jaws up off the floor. I know people are saying, hey, linears are super meta right now, and this thing can actually get some pretty decent rolls. And you're actually right. So in the first column, it can get rapid hit to obviously massively improve the reload speed, or clown cartridge, both great for overall damage output. And then it can get Vorpal Weapon for more damage against bosses, Focus Fury for a big damage increase, heck, even Frenzy. So any of those combinations of perks would be great for just a high DPS linear fusion, which are, again, are super meta right now. So why the heck am I rating this thing so low? Well, there's just outright better options out there. The Taipan World Drop Linear Fusion has a quest where you get the guaranteed pattern to craft it. It can get triple tap, firing line. It has the Vice Stinger origin trait. It is the most used weapon right now against the Kingsfell raid boss. Super meta. You also, even if you want an arc linear fusion for burns and stuff, you have the Storm Chaser, the only aggressive frame linear in the game, which is going to actually tie the Taipan in terms of damage output a lot of the time. Like, that thing is literally top tier as well. And we have the Cataclysmic from Vow of the Disciple with its unique bait and switch roll. And we have the Reed's Regret from Trials of Osiris, which is doing the same insane stuff that Taipan is now doing. And all of those things, I think, have better overall rolls than the Pitchglass. So if you don't have any of those, 100% go off to the Pitchglass. You can put together a solid linear fusion roll. But it's just like the fourth best thing right now, the fifth best thing right now, so that's why it's so far down the list. But moving on from there, we have the Brigand's Law Legendary Energy Sidearm. So this is a rapid fire frame 450 rounds per minute archetype, which does mean it has intrinsic full auto, which is nice, and the perks are actually pretty good. In the first column, you have Feeding Frenzy, Threat Detector, or Perpetual to all improve the reload speed, which I think you do want because low magazine size sidearms, you're going to be reloading a lot, especially when they're full auto. But you also have the new Pugilist perk, which is Demolitionist, but for melees, getting melee energy when you get kills. And then in that second column, I have mine with Volt Shot. Now, this is actually a brand new perk where if you kill an enemy and then reload, it's kind of like Kill Clip, but instead of getting a damage increase, you're going to Jolt on the next hit. And as you can see from the background gameplay, holy crap, Jolt is pretty nuts. Like, when you are constantly triggering this, and by the way, getting kills with the Jolt and all that stuff will trigger this again, so you can get a Volt Shot mega kill, reload, and then Volt Shot is active again. So you can just kind of keep chaining it. And again, it seemed pretty darn powerful. So Volt Shot plus a reload speed increase like Feeding Frenzy, you've got a very interesting role here that's going to fit into a lot of arc builds. But you also have stuff like Rangefinder or Adagio, great for PvP, Demolitionist, even Swashbuckler. Remember, it can get Pugilist, so we can get Pugilist plus Swashbuckler for an absolute, like, melee god roll. So a lot of interesting things going on here. The only reason it's so far down on the list is just because sidearms in general and this archetype aren't super strong within the meta, right? Like, PvP, some people will swear by them, but the vast majority of people are going to outgun you with a shotgun, or they're going to be using SMGs, and in PvE, it's all about SMGs, so these things just get overlooked. Now, with that being said, put together a really dirty Volt Shot build with Jolt and synergizing with Arc Fragments, maybe you have a little bit of an argument here. However, it's time to move on from there, and now we're getting into the top part of the list. This is the third most desirable. This is going to be the No Reprieve Legendary Kinetic Shotgun. Although it's not kinetic, it's actually stasis. So, this is going to be a pinpoint slug frame 65 rounds per minute archetype. I think it's the first stasis slug shotgun we've had. Don't quote me on that though, but that does mean it can get the Headstone Stasis perk, which is what I have and you're seeing in the background gameplay. Very fun to use and very easy to trigger, as you can imagine, with something that one-shot headshots most enemies. But it is probably the weapon that benefits most from that right hook origin trait, where dealing melee damage will increase the range. I mean, with shotguns, they're all about range. So potentially for a PvP role, I mean, you can put on the barrel to give you the maximum range. It can get accurized rounds to give plus 10 range, and then you can put on something like, heck, you could even put on Pugilist actually, but more realistically in PvP, you'd probably want something like Surplus for that increased handling, or Steady Hands for handling, and then combine that with, it can actually get Harmony, which means that you can get a kill with your primary switch to this and it's already going to have a damage increase, or Snapshot, or it can actually get Swashbuckler too. And that means that when you get melees, right, you're going to increase the range of this thing. And that's pretty good, because shotgun melee, or in this case it would be finish off an enemy with a melee, go and hit the next one with the shotgun. That's something that you're doing a lot in the Crucible. So I can see this thing being desirable if you are a slug shotgun user. It does require some finesse, some precision, unless you're using controller and then it just aims for you. I'm just kidding. But seriously, if you like slug shotguns in PvP, this has some pretty unique roles that you should definitely consider. In PvE, however, not so much. Like, it can get triple tap, which is good. Triple tap plus Focus Fury. That's undoubtedly good, actually. It's just that slug shotguns are just not in the meta anymore. Like, linears have completely replaced them. If you're going to stand in a well and shoot something with a pinpoint weapon, might as well use the Taipan, right? I mean, it's not like you're aiming down a big scope. They're really easy to use even up close. So if this archetype gets buffed in the future, this thing will go up in value, but right now, it remains number 3 on the list. Moving on from there, however, the second most desirable weapon, in my opinion, to craft is actually going to be the Blood Feud Legendary Stasis Submachine Gun. So this is a aggressive frame 750 rounds per minute archetype, and this thing can just get some unbelievably solid rolls here. As you can see, I have the melee wombo combo roll of Pugilist plus Swashbuckler, just like the Brigand's Law can get, and this thing's amazing. I mean, again, you have that right hook origin trait very much coming up and being viable here. A range increase to an SMG matters quite a bit as well, and I'm meleeing a ton of enemies with all of that extra energy I'm getting from Pugilist, getting a huge damage increase with Swashbuckler. Very good combo. But if you don't want Pugilist, you can actually go with Grave Robber to get your ammo back when you're getting those melees, and you can also have Ambitious Assassin, which just got a massive buff if you don't like the low magazine size. Like, you just have a lot of really good options. And 720 aggressive frame SMGs are definitely utilized in both PvE and PvP. In PvE, generally people prefer the 900s, but it's not like a 720 is completely outmatched. I mean, the best weapon in the entire game, which was the Aikilos SMG for a long time, was this same archetype. And in PvP, again, pretty viable. And in fact, you can, craft yourself the perfect amount of stats with the barrel you want. It can get accurized rounds for more range. You can get dynamic sway reduction to improve the recoil. You can really make this into a PvP role if you want as well. So just a really cool submachine gun doing some unique stuff. Not to mention, it's stasis, so you can actually use Headstone if you want to be making stasis crystals. Put this into a stasis build. It's going to be very synergistic as well. It just does a lot of stuff, very unique, and just something I think is pretty desirable. And again, works really well with that origin trait. Moving on from there, guys, the most desirable of all of the seasonal weapons, in my opinion, is the Tarnished Mettle Legendary Energy Scout Rifle. So this thing is a lightweight frame, 200 rounds per minute archetype, not the most common, same as the Mida multi-tool, and this thing is the second best scout rifle in the entire game right now, in my opinion. If it wasn't for the Doom of Chelchis from the Kingsfall raid, I already did a video on that, like just fawning over that thing. That thing is so powerful. Like, if this was added in any other season, if this was added last season, I would be freaking out about this. Everyone would be. It is like, by far, would have been the best scout rifle in the game. It's just that the Doom of Chelchis is so freaking good, it kind of makes this thing second best. But still, this can get the unbelievably good role of Demolitionist in that left-hand column. I think this is the first scout rifle ever to be able to get demo in the left-hand column, and then in the right-hand column, it can get explosive payload. And this combo is insane. Explosive is, in my opinion, overall probably the best PvE perk in the game for primaries. It makes part of your damage explosive, gives it infinite range, lets you shoot enemies when they're a pixel on your screen with no damage fall off, also gives you 10 to 15% bonus damage all the time, which is unbelievable. And that's why it's featured in previously like the best PvE scout rifle rolls in the game. The Night Watch, the Hung Jury, it was just, rapid fire or overflow or whatever, plus explosive. But now you're telling me I can get Demolitionist, so I'm getting my grenade back plus explosive. If you have any sort of build that wants to get grenades, this is arguably going to be better than the Doom of Chelchis, again, in a Grenadier-focused build. But even if you don't want that, you can go with Rapid Hit plus Explosive, or even Shoot to Loot plus Explosive, which was present on the World Drop Solar Scout Rifle last season and caused a huge hubbub, mostly because it was getting double damage when you shot heavy bricks. But I digress, that's been fixed, so you can't do that anymore. Still, overall, incredible scout here. Like, by a country mile, the best arc scout in the game. It's like, if you want an arc scout, which, hey, Grandmasters are coming up, you absolutely are going to want an arc scout. They're anti-barrier right now. Fantastic. This is so much better than any other arc scout in the game. Like, most of them can't even get explosive. It's not even funny. So 100% go get this thing before Grandmasters drop. It will make its way into a lot of people's loadouts anytime you have arc burn active. And this archetype of lightweight frame is actually pretty solid in the Crucible because it's a 4-shot kill, but it shoots outright faster than the 180s, which are also a 4-shot kill, right? So if you've ever enjoyed cracking skulls with the Mida in the Crucible, this can actually do the same thing. You can get like Killing Wind plus Eye the Storm for a pretty solid roll there. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this interesting. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.